I'm about to beg you to do something that terrifies most software engineers, and that is to try entrepreneurship. And I'm not saying that just because it's risky. I'm saying it because you are sitting on the biggest unfair advantage of your entire life right now, and you cannot even properly see it. I've talked to well over 1,000 software engineers at this point, and the ones that are making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year, a lot of them are actually some of the most trapped people that I know. And a few years ago, that was actually me taking home $250,000 a year as a software engineering manager until I quit actually on my birthday, November 30th, and also the same day that ChatGPT came out to start my very own AI consulting firm down here in LA. So stick with me, because in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly why the things that you think make you a bad entrepreneur are actually the same exact things that are going to make you win in this space. So let me first start off by addressing a lie that is extremely commonplace in software engineering, and that is that your job is safe. But you have to understand that your job is not security. You can think of it as more a subscription. You are paying for it with your time, and the company can cancel the subscription whenever they feel like it. There have been almost 123,000 tech layoffs this year alone, which matches all of last year combined, and we're barely past halfway through the year. And keep in mind, AI got blamed for 40% of the cuts back in May. But back in January, that number was only at 7%. That's over a 5x increase over a 4-month gap. But getting laid off isn't even the part that should worry you. The part that should actually worry you is what happens if you don't get laid off. A lot of the developers that I talk to tell me that they hit every single goal that they had set, every single one. And yet they would still get denied for a promotion, or the raise they wanted wouldn't be nearly as much as they would think it would be. Or whenever they switch over to a more of a managerial position, they would regret it because they're not doing any type of coding. I see this time and time again every single day. People envisioning some type of a future in a corporate environment, and when they finally get there, realizing it is nothing like what they actually thought it would be. Especially those who find out that they are making the company millions while their own salary stays roughly the same. But this isn't because the system is broken, this is actually because this is how everything was set up. It's just nobody wants to talk about it. And every single year that you stay in this cycle, the walls are going to get closer and closer because your lifestyle is also going to swell to match the paycheck. So you're gonna tell yourself, okay, you're gonna try entrepreneurship after the next bonus, or after the next vesting period, or after the next promotion. But that date's never really gonna come, because whenever the next promotion does come, your costs also going to increase and you're gonna have a lot more responsibilities. But don't get me wrong, I'm not here trying to scare you off, because there's always a flip side to things. And it's honestly the best news that you'll hear all year. As of right now, there are over 33 million businesses in the United States alone that have to figure out how to adopt to AI. If you ask the ones who haven't done anything what's stopping them from actually getting into it, they're not gonna say money. In fact, 6 in 10 of these businesses say that they've got nobody who can actually do this for them. So they have the problem, they have the budget ready for it, but they cannot find a person that they trust to do the work for them. So you have to think, Bugo, who's actually going to help them? Well, the marketing guy on YouTube screaming about AI agents and AI automation, who's never written a single line of code in his life, who doesn't even know anything about software engineering, guess what? He's not going to be able to help them much. Because AI already made writing code free, but it made knowing code even more expensive. So some guy who watched 3 tutorials can sure spit out an app nowadays, but he cannot tell you why it falls apart the second real users touch it. He cannot properly control the security of it, the speed of it, and all these things when it comes to a development perspective. So that's going to be the whole difference between you and somebody non-technical trying to get into this. So while everybody is panicking that, oh, AI is coming to replace developers, understand that you are the only person actually built to win from this so-called mass replacement. But there is still one thing standing in your way, and it's got nothing to do with code. And to understand this, I want to tell you a little story about Sandra, one of our founders from Code to CEO, my startup accelerator. She's an engineer out of MIT, and whenever she first joined the accelerator, she was working 2 full-time jobs, so she was what you would call overemployed. She was burnt out and pretty much running on fumes. She had to ask for permission to go back and see her family. And she would always consistently say, Bugo, I can build anything, but I just cannot sell. In fact, I don't want to touch sales. All I want to do is code. And I remember, fast forward about 6 months, and she said, all I want to do is sell. I don't want to touch the code anymore. And it's not that because she lost the passion for coding, but rather she discovered this whole business side to her that she never really knew about. And we didn't start with some fancy SaaS idea. We started with a service, which was one clear offer to people that she could already reach. She started off in a healthcare space, helping hospices and home healths with custom software development, specifically with AI workflows and a lot of automation. And over time, after a few clients, once she was able to get a validation on a particular problem, she then productized it as a SaaS. Now, quick thing before I show you how she actually did this, if you want the actual system she used, that's what I'm gonna walk you through in my live workshop on August 30th, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The link's going to be in the description below, so grab a seat right now while you can, while there's still spots. It's gonna be completely for free, and I'll see you there. Now, let's get back to the video. Here is why the things that you think disqualify you as an entrepreneur are the exact reason that you're actually going to win if you go on this journey. Most software engineers think that they are bad at business because they are not the loud, charismatic sales guy. They associate business success with a particular identity. They think because they're a little analytical, a little introverted, that they're not going to be successful at business. They would rather build behind the scenes. But this isn't actually a weakness. This is a cheat code for you. Because business is all about systems and logic and finding the bottleneck and fixing it. And in a sense, that is your entire job already. It's just most people fail at business because they cannot think in systems and they cannot build properly. But you can do both in your sleep. You just have to understand that you have to disassociate your employee identity from that of a business owner. And a lot of you who think selling is sleazy, it is not. Selling doesn't have to be the car salesman. It can be a doctor and a patient. Whenever a patient walks into a doctor's office, the doctor doesn't start jamming needles into the patient. He first will ask questions, he's going to figure out what's actually wrong with the patient, and only then will he prescribe anything to help that patient. And I call this a diagnosis loop, and it's really just 3 steps that just keep going round and around. First, you ask, you don't pitch anything at all, you just get them talking about what it is that's actually bothering them, what's broken, what the pain actually is. You ask questions like, okay, when did this last happen? What did it cost you? What have you already tried to fix this? This is giving you the validation that, okay, this problem that I'm focusing on is painful enough that they tried to solve it before. And then finally you diagnose. You tell them what's actually wrong, include the part that they hadn't spotted themselves, to let them know that you're aware of what is happening. And that's the moment that they stop treating you like a regular software engineer and they start treating you like an authority in what it is that you're going to do, because you understood their business better than they do. And then, only then, do you actually prescribe. That's where you finally tell them what you would do about it and how to go about it and reveal the investment that it's going to cost. And notice how in this scenario, you're only selling in that 3rd step. The first 2, you can think of it as sort of like debugging. You already do this every single time you clean up somebody else's mess anyways. Now you're just gonna do it for yourself for a way bigger paycheck than you would get otherwise. Now, let me tell you what's gonna be on the other side of all of this. Because like I said, this isn't just hype. This is actually what my regular Tuesday would look like. I don't have an alarm clock. I can wake up whenever I want. Obviously still wake up in the mornings, but I'll wake up, I'll put in 2 to 4 hours of highest leverage amount of work into the systems that make the business run without me. And no, it's not about Lambos, it's not about yachts, it's not about showing off all that money. It's really about being able to order off the menu at a restaurant without having to do this math. It's being able to be there for a random Tuesday afternoon with your family, or let's say it's your kid's graduation or something of that sort, and it's never having to worry about asking permission to live the life that you want to live. And understand, you don't need to be a billionaire for this. In fact, a lot of this is achievable without having to reach even $10 million a year. All you really need to look for, at least initially starting off, is being able to replace your exact salary, at least taking care of your costs, doing so with complete and utter freedom. So why am I begging you? Because I have watched over the past 2 years, as I started my startup accelerator, some of the smartest people that I know sleepwalk right past the biggest opportunities of their entire lives. They tell themselves that they're not business people. They wait for the perfect idea. They wait for permission that is never, ever going to come. And 5 years later, they are in the same chair with the same exact slightly bigger paycheck, and now they're older and they have a smaller life and they regret the decision that they hadn't made. And keep in mind, I was almost that guy. I built stuff nobody wanted, I talked myself out of it about 100 times to go on this journey, and the only real difference between myself and the next engineer who is currently stuck exactly where I was is that I actually tried, and I didn't give up on the first try. I wasn't smarter, I wasn't special, I simply stopped waiting for permission and I just started executing. So understand, you are at the end of the day a problem solver who happens to use code to solve problems. That's who you were before the job, that's who you were before the title, before the identity, before everything. It's just that the ticket's buried behind that. I'm not telling you to go out and quit tomorrow. All I'm telling you is just try entrepreneurship once. Truly give it your all and try to go on this journey. But I'll be honest with you, deciding to try is going to be the easy bit. The thing that actually stops people is that they don't know what to sell, who to sell it to, and really they don't understand the amount of courage it takes to go on this path alone. So if you want to figure out what your specific thing actually is and how to land that first client who ends up paying you for it, that's the whole reason that I'm running the free live workshop on August 30th, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's going to be live. You can ask me about your own situation there instead of trying to guess from a video or trying to leave a comment and hoping that I get back to you. The link will be in the description below. Once again, sign up before spots fill up. It's going to be at workshop.codetoCEO.com. I hope to see you there. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.